I'm Tracy Lieberman. I'm a captain with the Maryland National Capital Park Police, Montgomery County Division.
Thank you for taking time to talk with us. National security is what I do most of the time. And one of the things that's very clear to me is you can't have national security if you don't have local security. And now more than ever, I think that's important. A big part of national security and local security and everything in between is people. The people that do the work are what make the security work. And it's important for people to be seen, to be recognized, and to be taken care of. And that definitely includes first responders and law enforcement. And I know that the Maryland National Capital Park Police have a very special program that you run to help make sure that these folks are taken care of. And I think it's called a health and wellness in service. Is that right?
Yes, so we just completed our second annual rotation of the Health and Wellness in Service. We started it last year, and we do a whole entire day, 8 hours of just wellness programs for all of our officers sworn and our professional staff, so that everybody in the agency has an opportunity to go through the experience.
Okay. So break it down for us. What do they get to experience during the course of this wellness?
So we open the day with yoga and we invite everybody to participate. We have people that do yoga all the time and we have people that have never done it before. And we just invite them out to try it out and see how they feel. And then a couple of the things that we have done and we've brought in a doctor of acupuncture to do uh, a discussion on acupuncture and the benefits. And then she has offered her time to treat people on her own time. She's come down to meet with people as a group to treat them and to talk more about acupuncture. We've had a chiropractor come in and sports medicine specialists. We've had a someone come in and do a guided meditation to help teach people how to use visualization for discarding things that no longer serve us, and then bringing in things that we want to create and healthy things that we want to manifest for ourselves. And we also have a therapist that comes in, and he's a retired law enforcement officer who's now in private practice. And he comes in, he speaks to us about what's going on, current issues, and just things to look for that we really, in ourselves and in our coworkers, that if we recognize signs of stress or distress that we need to help them. We've also had, do you have a question? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. We also have had people in recovery come in, former law enforcement and other first responders, fire, talk about their recovery stories. And we've also had someone come in that was involved in a critical incident that was shot on duty. And he talked about his story and coming back from that and resiliency. So we bring out a lot of the way I present it to the guys and the girls is that we're going to offer you a variety of modalities and possible experiences that may work for you. Some may not work for you, and they may work for somebody else. So while one person may not like yoga, they may recognize in somebody else and say, "Oh, hey, have you tried yoga?" Or they could be out on a critical incident and maybe use some short visualization techniques on success from the incident. And we also want them to see that, like, the therapist takes our insurance,
Yeah.
and we want to make sure that people reach out to him and will use him and feel comfortable and safe. So if they see him and they've met him in person, if they feel the need to reach out to him, they already have a connection with him because he's come into the station, he's talked to us, he's met us. And in fact, last year,
Mm.
after he came out, within a couple weeks, we did have a critical incident. And I asked the officer, "Would you like me to call him out?" And he said, "Oh, yes, I know who he is. We just met him in service. Please call him out." And it really helped the officer through the
Yeah.
process.
So that takes me to my next question, and that is why does the department believe that this is important?
So it's really easy. Officers are human beings. As much as we like to think that people look at us and they want us to be superhuman, we are human. We are subject to all the emotions, all the stress that anybody else is. And come to work, you deal with the stress at work, and then we go home. We have sick children, we have family members we take care of. So trying to help balance the stress and be able to recognize in ourselves when we do need help and where we can go to get it. And suicide is still the number one killer of law enforcement. Um, I've lost people close to me on the job to suicide, and I'm sure, unfortunately, pretty much any person that's a first responder would say the same thing. And how can we continue to reach out to people and let them know that it's okay to ask for help? We want to keep people on board. In the old days, there was the whole stigma of if you ask for help, you're going to be out of a job. Well, that's not necessarily the case. We want to get people the help they need and get them back to work. And there are programs we've brought in representatives from Harbor of Grace, which is a first responder recovery facility, only first responders, military. So people that go there will know that they're in company of other people that have had some of the same experiences. They have a full 28-day stick program, and they help our brothers and sisters and professional staff get back on their feet.
How many people took advantage of this year, or ballpark, this year, last year? How many people usually are a part of this?
We put everybody through. It's part of our regular in-service rotation. So altogether, it's close to 120 people.
What kind of responses are you getting from people?
So I just read over a lot of the reviews yesterday. The majority of the reviews are very positive. I think it's people are becoming more and more open. Like I said, last year was the first year we did it. So this year they kind of had an idea. And we just ask you to be open minded. And maybe something is new and they say, wow, this was a really new, interesting experience. Some people went out and they joined a yoga studio on their own. Some went out and started getting acupuncture on a regular basis. And people see that the opportunities we're trying to give them are only to help them and support them in their growth. And I think overall, it's been very positive. I will say, I one of the ways I figure this out is I look in the yoga room, and when we do the yoga classes, almost 100% participation. Some of the guys might have their shoes on, some of them might have their work stuff on, but they're participating, and
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
yeah.
And we will bring yoga in on a regular basis now as well, and we vary the times of the yoga so people can come in day shift, evening shift, and midnight shift.
So that was what I was going to ask, is what kind of an impact is this having on a daily basis with people? Do they carry what they learn and experience forward, and can they get refills?
Yeah, so we are definitely all about refills. I have a whole list of practitioners that we're going to be bringing in on a regular basis. So whereas they may not come in for that full day in service, we may have somebody come in, say on a day where there's more people working in the afternoon, and say, hey, if you want to come in at 2 o'clock, there's going to be somebody that's going to be doing breath work. And then on another day, we may go in there and I'm now a certified life coach. So I want to teach the coaching skills to our staff. I want to help them build their resumes. So I'll put out a little email saying we're going to today at 2 o'clock we're going to be doing resume building, or today we're going to be doing coaching techniques, or today at noon our acupuncturist is going to come in. Everybody, if you want to come in and get a treatment, we also have a wellness room that we created. So the wellness room can um, be used as a meditation room, quiet room. We could even use it for a victim or witness that needs a quiet, safe space to sit in. It's been used as a lactation room, a prayer room. So it can be used for anything that anybody wants. I put a nice recliner in there. So if somebody's really having a tough day and they need some quiet, they can go in there and shut the door and have some privacy. And on the outside of the wellness room, we have an information wall or my wellness wall of all sorts of resources and contact information for various people.
I think you're probably one of the first to do this, at least in this region. Is that right?
That I'm aware of, yes. I've asked around, I've talked to a lot of people. We do a lot of networking, those of us that are into first responder wellness. And so far, I haven't met anybody that's doing a full day program. I think there are some that are probably hoping to work in that direction for sure.
Yeah, but I think there are probably definitely people that do pieces of this, but not the whole
Hmm.
thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how how's how do you assess the way things are now? And the reason I'm asking that question about how do you assess how things are now, the George Floyd situation a couple of years ago, Derek Chauvin and that bunch started a thing that really just unfairly, I think, impacted a lot of police officers, law enforcement around the country unfairly. I mean, yes, we all know there are some bad apples. There
Sure.
always have been, and there probably always will be. But you can't paint the whole bunch because of what one or two do. Those one or two need to be dealt with. The departments need to do it responsibly, and I think training's the way. At least that's what I've been told. And I'm not trying to make any excuses for any police officers or police departments. That needs to be dealt with, and it's not acceptable for them to do what those folks did. But it's also not acceptable to accuse people, innocent people, police officers, first responders, of things they didn't do, and to essentially lump them in that way. So, how have you and your department dealt with that since then, and how does this program help?
So that's a multi-layered question. So of course, like you said, there's education, there's constant training. Since then, I'm sure you're aware of there's a lot of training on bystandership in law enforcement, speaking up. We're obligated to speak up if we see something, and that's always important, no matter what. And really, I think one of the to focus on one area of that where you're talking about the fallout for a lot of officers, it's there really is a lot of pain for good officers to see somebody doing something like that and have to deal and to carry the burden of the heaviness of that. And how do we overcome that? And how do we reclaim that we are a safe space and we are here to serve and we are here to protect? And it's hard to get the message out. It's hard for the message sometimes to be received, and it's hard to go home at night and look our children in the face and say, but they people, and your neighbor says, oh, but you're not like that. Yes, but somebody is, and we have to carry that. And how do we go beyond that? And how do you stop that? So um supporting the officers to be able to speak up and communicate, to be able to um, really say, If you see something, you've got to speak up." And if you see somebody that's struggling, um, that's in pain, that maybe somebody who has an alcohol problem or somebody's going through a divorce, maybe it's time to tap them on the shoulder and say, let's pull you out of the game, put you over here for a little on the bench for a little bit, little rehab, and then get you back in the game when you're clear-headed and when you're focused. Um, there's all sorts of other things with that, with your question, as far as early warning systems and acknowledging over a period of time that somebody's could be a potential problem or distress. That's one aspect of it. But for the health and wellness, we want to be able to acknowledge when somebody may be in crisis, and again, let them know that we want to help them and support them. And at the same time, it has to be okay to say, you've done it, you've had a great run, and maybe it's time for you to retire. And we have to be okay with that. If you look at the military, you can do 4 years and go on and have multiple careers and still have the experience and the respect of having served. So sometimes not everybody is going to do 25 to 30 years as law enforcement. And it doesn't mean you haven't given a great piece of yourself and a great part of the career.
Yeah. And this work that you're doing with the wellness and service, I'm sure, fortifies and bolsters the messaging behind what you just said. And it's more than just the message, it's actually tangible things that people can see, do, and participate in. Because at the end of the day, I think that's what's really important in communities. Our community has been very much involved with the park police and you and your team just in our own the life of our own community, and everybody's very grateful for that. And we recognize that it's important to have these relationships with police and for first responders, but healthy relationships. And I think um, what you're doing helps to make this even more of a healthy relationship, because it views these people on your team as people, just as we do view you as people. So, what's your message to communities out there who engage with police officers every day, based on what you were saying earlier about these stressors that you're trying to
Mhm.
address in your session?
I think it's important for the community to know that it's okay to come up and talk to us. Sometimes people are still afraid to come talk to us, and I think, we have to own that sometimes we look a little scary, so, with all the equipment on and the things we're wearing, and sometimes our serious face, our watching face can also look like a mean face,
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily the situation. Comes we love it when people come say hi. We love it when kids come talk to us. And like I was saying before, we all have families, we have children. Um, we love to know that there's that connection and that we want to continue to foster that connection, because just like the community can sometimes feel maybe they don't see us, we can also feel maybe they don't see us, but we really do see each other quite well, and we want to connect. So I would say also feel free to reach out to us if you want us to come out and speak to your community. We love that. We have a whole group of guys and girls in community service that love to go out. We now have a comfort canine. We've watched our first comfort canine dog. His name is Clutch. He's a black lab, and he loves to come out and roll on his back and get belly rubs and treats and just make you smile and lick your face. And so we want to continue to build the relationships with the community and always have a connection there, because as you know, we can't get anything done without the community working with us, right? And we are the community. We may be during the day this community, but we go home and we're in our neighborhood community. So we really want to everybody to feel safe and comfortable to come out together.
Yep. I think that's the piece that a lot of people either miss or don't understand or don't get, is that you don't wear the uniform 24 hours a day. And when you're
Mm-mm.
not in the uniform, even when you're in the uniform, but especially when you're not in it, you're a part of a community, just
Right.
as a regular human being. And it's important to be treated that way. Thanks for taking time to talk about this. Is there any piece of this or anything I haven't asked you about that you'd like to talk about before we go?
I'll just add a little bit more that we take wellness very seriously. Our chief, Daryl McSwain, is very motivated and supportive of our programs and to continue to support the officers to create that better community. And we're always open to ideas. We're always open to connection. We're always open to working with anybody that may be interested in bringing something to us or wants us to come tell them what we've been doing and how it's been working, and just to continue to grow. And the ultimate goal is for everybody to be able to take care of themselves, to be able to take care of each other. And I really appreciate you asking me about this. This is a big deal. It's very dear to my heart, and I hope that it will help many people and bring us forward together.
Well, thank you, Captain Lieberman. As you mentioned, me coming to ask you about this, as I said before, national security is what I do on a daily basis, but you can't have that without local security. So perhaps the conversation we had today will help some other police organizations here in the Washington metropolitan area, but beyond, because this program is viewed overseas. across the country. So maybe this can be of some assistance to others in a lot of places. So thank you again. Good luck with the program, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.